Assalamu alaikum. So I go into the Grand Mosque in Oklahoma City, not really expecting too much because of my bad experiences as a convert going into these certain masajid. With the exception of masajid in the Middle East, they treat you really good, actually, and they don't really ask questions. They have an open door type of policy. So I gather up my wife and my kids, and this is the first time that I've been to the Grand Mosque of Oklahoma City. And so we get there about, I'd say, 1:10. Now Jummah is at 1:30. They pray 1:30 over there. So I go there at 1 o'clock, 1:10 actually, and I'm outside. I park my car. I tell my wife, look, I'm gonna go inside and meet the imam and see, the layout. When are they gonna start at 1:30 sharp? Minimum, I'm gonna go in, meet the imam, pray 2 rakat, and just have a look around real quick. So it's 1:10, it's Jummah, so I figure doors are open. So I can see that there's 3 cars there. There's 3 cars, including the imam is there, because they have the imam reserved space for him, inshallah. And so I go in there, and the door's locked. There's 4 doors in the front, so I'm checking the doors, and I'm just thinking, it's 1:10 and they have the doors locked. Is there gonna be Jummah here or what? So I noticed that there's a keypad, like a little thing that you can put codes in to get into the masjid on Jummah, 20 minutes before the khutbah. Yeah, kind of strange, right? So I try all the doors, and I'm thinking, okay, is there going to be Jummah? Is something going on? Whatever. I go back to my car, and I just sit. And so I'm watching other people go into the mosque, and I'm thinking, is there a code or something that you have to put in? And I said to my wife, and it was around 1:20, 10 minutes before the khutbah, and there's maybe 6 cars there only. I said to my wife, I don't know what's going on, but I'm gonna go in when the next guy goes in. I'm just gonna go in behind him. So that's what I did. So I see a guy walking to the front door, and sure enough, he puts in a code. And I asked him, I said, Assalamu alaikum, do you have to get like a code to get into to the masjid, to the house of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? And he said, yeah. I said, oh, okay, what's the code? I'm not dressed like this. I actually have my jalaba in the back seat. I'm dressed as a Muslim. I give him the greeting, Assalamu alaikum. And so obviously I'm a Muslim. But again, I'm a white convert Muslim. So I said, oh, okay, what's the code so I can get in? He said, oh, no. You have to talk to the imam about getting the code. And I was like, that's strange. I have to talk to the imam. Okay, whatever. So he opens the door, and I go in behind him. He's kind of looking at me like, I just told you that you have to have a code. Like, why are you following behind me? I don't pay him any mind, man. I just push right by him, and I just go make wudu. I go and make wudu. And I go and pray 2 rakat. It's a nice masjid, pretty new. It's okay size. So I pray, and then I go to the back and I put on my socks, and some guy comes out from the imam's office and says, oh, brother. I said, yeah, what's going on? He said, you have to fill out this form first. You have to fill this application first and you have to talk with the imam to access the code. access the code for getting inside the masjid. And I'm just, at that point, I understand, and I told my wife, I understand if it's like 10 o'clock in the morning on a Wednesday, or, yeah, I understand. You need to lock your doors, you need to have a code. I get it. But this is 10 minutes before the khutbah. This is on Jummah, when the door should be open for people, for Muslims, to come inside and feel comfortable and not feel like they're going through Al-Aqsa checkpoint or something. And all of this was going through my head. Like, I get it. Okay, Monday, 10 o'clock. Okay, maybe like midnight after Isha, you're going to lock the masjid. Totally get it. Totally agree. But this is 10 minutes before Jummah. And you're telling me that I need to go inside of the Imam's office and present myself in front of him and fill out an application with my name, my first name, my last name, my email, my address, my phone number. And I said, and he had this form, and I said, no thanks, I'll just go somewhere else. And I did. To a masjid that didn't have any locked doors, that was just down the street. His whole premise was, oh brother, it's security, security, security. And I'm thinking, the front, and God forbid, and I'm just saying, I'm just thinking, you know, ex-military here. I'm just thinking, there's a glass doors. If the whole premise was security, security, how come you don't have armed security there? We did in Seattle and Kent, Federal Way, Tacoma. I've been to New York, Masjid in Brooklyn, in the Bronx. There was always a brother that was hired who was armed for security. But they didn't have any security. Their security was the pen pad, right? So God forbid, and this is a message, this is kind of a wake-up call for the administration of the Grand Mosque of Oklahoma City to really start to think in a couple of ways. Number one, if somebody really wanted to do harm to you, they would just shoot the glass doors out and go in. God forbid. God forbid. We hope and we pray and we ask for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's protection over all of the masajid. But I'm sorry, that is not a good enough an excuse. Number two, if it's security, right? He just gave me a form. I didn't have to show my ID. I could put any name that I wanted to, any phone number, any address, any whatever, and I could give it to him and he would give me the security code. And let's just say that I had ill intentions, that I wasn't really a Muslim, whatever. We go through the scenarios. I would say, hey, white supremacist, crazy, right-winger militia, the code to the mosque is 1, 2, 3, 4. I understand security, but this is Jummah. This is Jummah. You have to be more welcoming to the people. And they made this guy, this imam, I understand respect, but they made this guy like he was the Khalifa of the earth. You know, because I got on my shoes and I went by the office. You have to go by the office, the imam's office, to get out in the front. And I looked over and he was just sitting behind his desk, and he just looked at me as I went by. And that's my third point. I've been a Muslim for 30 years. I've been around the world. I've been to Yemen. I've been to Egypt. I've been to Europe. I've been to the East Coast, the West Coast. I've been all over this planet praying in masajid. I met a lot of people. Yeah? Bismillah. Why? Why are most of the masajid places of drama, places of conflict and confrontation? Why? This is supposed to be a place of, well, it's called masjid, which means a place of sujood, a place of prostration. Why isn't it more like a house of God, more welcoming to the people, instead of, let me get your name, your number, your address, the name of your wife, all of your details about your private life? I found it really invasive. I could walk to, my God, we're in the South. It seems like there's a church on every other block. Life centers and Christian centers and mega churches all over the place. I bet you, as a Muslim, I can go into any one of them right now and just say, hey, how you doing? Just wanted to say hello, whatever, right? I bet you I can get into any one of them and say hello, and they'll be like, oh, hey, what's going on? But when I go into a masjid, I'm the new guy, I'm the convert, 30 years ago. When they look at me, they think, and this is not just an isolated event. This is not just something that happened today. This is something that I'm sure the converts will talk about it in the comments, or even born Muslims are treated unfairly, or they get into their business, or there's tribalism or racism. There's a lot of things. I'm not saying all masajid are like this at all. I'm not saying that. But the ones that I've been to, man, about 90% of them are like that. 90% of them. We really need to be paying attention to how we treat people, especially in the masjid. Especially in the masjid. This is coming from somebody where, you know, after 9/11, everybody hated Muslims. Everybody hated Muslims. But that didn't stop us from coming to the masjid. You know, there was talks, there was death threats left on the masjid, messaging on the phone. But we still went to the masjid. We still went there. We weren't afraid. We put our trust in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and we kept it pushing. I would like to personally call out the Grand Mosque of Oklahoma City. You really need to change your policies. And I can only imagine how, or I don't even think you have a program or any type of representation of converts to deal with other converts in the greater Oklahoma City area. If this is the way that you're treating the everyday Muslim, you got to have the code and you got to run it by the imam and you got to give us all your personal information. I can only imagine how you treat the converts. I can only imagine how you treat the people who are even considering becoming Muslim. But what if they would come to the masjid? What if they would? And they, you know, it's Friday, I got a day off. Let me just go by this mosque and see what's going on. I'm really interested just to see and talk with a real Muslim. No, you can't come in. You have to go to the imam and you have to get the code and you have to fill out this application. And I just told them straight up, no thanks, I'll just go pray somewhere else. I'll just go pray somewhere else. And I did. And I did. Oklahoma City, the Grand Mosque of Oklahoma City, you really need to examine how you treat people. And not only Oklahoma City, if anybody else is out there, any other uncles that are on the council, the mighty council in your city, whether it's Detroit or New York or Florida, wherever you are representatives of Islam. And you really need to watch how you speak to Muslims. And you need to be more welcoming. No wonder, especially here down in the South, people are so apprehensive about us Muslims. So apprehensive. You know why? Because nobody talks to them. And I can see here in Oklahoma City that I don't think anyone would talk to them. I know that they would look them up and down. Who are you? What's your phone number? What's your first name, your last name, your address, your email address? Is that how you deal with people? You know what? I had to be honest with you, man. That made me ashamed. What are you afraid of? Security is because of security. If you're so afraid of security and you're trying to make security measures and tighten up the mosque, why don't you hire a security guard like normal people? Why don't you do that? That makes a whole lot of sense, right? But some crazy dude is going to shoot up the mosque, God forbid. And he's going to enter because it's all glass in the front. But you're going to say, but no, brother, we have security. We have the keypad to save us. They can't get in, even though they can shoot their way in. Oh, but they can't. Are you serious? Do like every other mosque on the planet. Have a security force. Hire a police for a couple of hours for Jummah. Don't get me wrong. I know that you need security when there's outside of Jummah. I get it and I agree. I totally agree. There has to be some type of security. Doors have to be locked. I understand. Totally with you. Especially in a nice mosque like that. Right? New carpet. Mashallah. It's pretty big. It's nice. But this is Yom al-Jum'ah. This is Yom al-Jum'ah.